Hi, my besties! Welcome to Be Outside the Box. Tsholo, gonna tell the peeps what this is called.
This segment is called Zoom In on the Topic. So it's like a play on word. We're using Zoom, but we literally are zooming in on the topic that Bonolo had discussed. If you guys haven't watched the first video on Black Stereotypes, click on that link. But yeah, so basically what we're doing here is we're getting, three people's opinions on the topic. And maybe you have a different experience, maybe you have a different opinion, maybe you have a different, feeling about whether that stereotype is or is not valid in society. So that is why we made the segment.
We have been best friends since grade 4. But along the way, we kind of like split and come back, and there was all of that. Just by the way, we go by Uzo, the Uzo Muzo group. So it's Lebu for Luzo, Buzo for Bonolo, and Tsholo for Tsuzo. So we are the Uzos. But my role in terms of the outside the box, I'm apparently the business strategist. And it's been really awesome just seeing the process of Be Outside the Box coming out. It's been absolutely amazing.
I am the creative director of Be Outside the Box, and I oversee everything creative. And I've always been a creative, but yeah, Be Outside the Box just really allows me to be creative, and I'm able to come out of my box and just, tap into other creative spaces.
Okay, my besties trying to get into Black Stereotypes. We're going to be boldly braving Black Stereotypes while zooming in on the topic.
Great.
So, what stereotypes for you stand out, or you just feel like you want to discuss, or that you just disagree with or agree with? My bestie.
Okay.
So, are we we're incompetent?
Definitely not. I think this idea that Black people, or just all people of color in general that are incompetent, really boils down to the manner in which people speak English. That seems, in the South African context, it seems that if you speak a certain way, your level of intelligence is equated to the way that you can speak English, and whether or not you can actually do something in a very competent manner, So that's my first point. My second point is that in a lot of the context we find ourselves in South Africa, particularly in businesses, you find that, there's just an imbalance of people's levels of qualification or just experience, right? So in a lot of working environments, you'll find that it's not that somebody's incompetent, right? It's just that they haven't had the prior experience in that particular field, and that doesn't necessarily make them incompetent, right? And when I speak of experience, it's also just your family life, right? So if you grow up in a particular household, for most of our parents, I think all three of us can agree that our parents didn't grow up at the dinner table talking about shares, for example, or mergers and acquisitions, little things like that, right?
Didn't?
And when you didn't, pardon my bestie?
You didn't? I did.
Sorry, And I mean, it also the kind of conversations that our parents would be having at dinner tables with their parents boiled down to the kind of industries that our parents were in,
Sure.
So if I look at my grandparents, for example, I mean, my mom's mom, she was a domestic worker, and our grandfather basically worked in a firm and doing, very administrative work, right? And so the conversation we'd be having there would probably be limited to that. And also the level of education that our grandparents had wasn't very high, Whereas in a white family, for example, I mean, their parents are, you know, these business associates, they're accountants, they're lawyers, they own businesses, you know, they trade on the stock exchange and that kind of thing. And so those conversations become something that's very normal for you to have, you know, it becomes part of your routine. And so when you get into the workspace, right, it just having that extra sort of background experience and context allows you to, it propels you in a certain way to be competent, right? And being competent for me is not necessarily the kind of skills that you have, but also just the soft skills that you have, your EQ, how you can relate to people. You know, can you talk about playing golf, for example? You know, can we talk about the sports that took place this weekend? You know, and that's what I don't like about this thing that Black people, this concept that Black people are incompetent, because it's really attributed, there's so many attributes to this idea of incompetence, right? So it's the kind of conversations you can have with the CEO when you guys are in a lift, for example, you know, or when you guys go watch a soccer game, for example, those kinds of things, you know. And the more that you can relate to someone, particularly who's a senior in the work environment, the more they think highly of you.
To add on to that, so spot on, because when you are exposed to a certain topic or a certain way of speaking, you become confident, you know. Or when you've been exposed to a wide topic of like businessy things, you know, or worldly things, you become more confident, you know? So absolutely. And I think confidence really does play a big role in seeming competent in the workplace.
Yeah.
If you get what I'm saying. Because confidence in a sense that, you know, you're able to speak properly, you're able to articulate properly, you're able to, you know, put together a thought process, you show that, you know, you're like diverse.
I agree with you, my besties. I mean, you both, absolutely, I echo both of what you guys said. And when you were speaking, especially like in a workplace context, I was just thinking, you know, like also just like the stereotype that, you know, Black people were not cultured. And like there's, I don't know about you guys, but at the workplace, like there's talks about like, you know, being well traveled and being worldly, and you know, and it's just like, unfortunately, that's not something. Our travel is like local travel, and not that local traveling is bad, but I do see that somehow like there's an idea that like the more well traveled you are, that's how more worldly, like that's how you gain more knowledge. And of course, guys, like traveling, especially overseas, does relate to like you just have a different opinion and an outlook because you can travel and learn about different cultures and different countries. So I just think there's a lot of narratives about, you know, the Black experience where it's just because we weren't exposed to those things growing up. We just don't have the resources to engage in certain activities that will allow us to fully bring our full selves and confidently emerge in that conversation. You guys think Black people are loud?
I definitely think Black people are loud. And
wait, so sorry, can I please tell the people the time we were supposed to go to Megan Bean? Yes. So I think like we were already in varsity, hey guys. I think it was like 2012. It was like first year.
No, it was actually third year, because I remember I had the short hair. It was third year. It was 2014.
Maybe third year, my bestie.
Oh, 13 actually. 13. Sorry.
So there we go, guys. We're like
hold on. Okay, can I just step in there, okay? But before you give them the story, it's important that you give people context of the dynamic of our friendship.
Okay, fair enough.
That's fair.
The lawyer has entered the room.
Yeah, fair enough.
Okay, my baby, what's the context? What context would you like to give?
Well, so, you know, the two, there's that one picture you guys have put up where you guys are like just being all fun and all, and I'm just like, you know, are these really my friends? So I'm the more reserved one, basically.
Okay, guys, there we are, 2013. We're like 20 years old. We're like, we're gonna hook up for that. It was dinner. We were gonna hook up for dinner. And we were going to Mag and Beat at the Glen. I haven't been to the Glen since then, my bestie, literally. Oh, I don't know what we were doing. I think it's because when we on the ride, or was it via text? Where your best friend is just like, it was via text, ne? She was like, Little Kang said, my bestie, just please don't make a noise when we get there.
Yeah.
Like, what did she say?
Yeah. No, it was, I think it was over text. She was like, guys, can we...
It was.
Yeah. So already we were like,
Excuse me.
Then when we were there, Bonolo and I obviously could help ourselves. We were like loud AF. And then Lebkhang's like, guys, please keep it down.
Like, I think we asked her, like, are we embarrassing you?
Yeah, we did. So yeah, I think black people are loud. I know that I'm loud. I know Bonolo's loud. Lebkhan's not so loud. My boyfriend's not so loud. Akhi's not loud at all. What I was gonna say, at work, I've been told numerous times that I'm loud and that all the black people are loud. And we're very proud of the fact that we're loud. So, I don't know. It's just, and they always say, use your inside voice. And I'm like, this is my inside voice, by the way. You guys should see, yeah, you guys should hear my outside voice. Like, you people will actually not. So, I definitely believe black people are loud. My family is very loud, even when they're like 100% sober, whether it's a funeral, whether it's a family gathering, whether it's an important meeting, whether, I don't know, whether there's a coronavirus going on, my family is loud. So,
I think it's about, sorry, my bestie, just a dynamic thing. Because, like, if I look at mom, for example, mom is very, like, reserved.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not so sure about dad. Like, okay, dad's pretty loud. Like,
yeah, your dad's quite loud.
Like, you can be in the shop and hear dad from, like, the entrance of the store.
100%.
You know?
100%. That's not even
so, yeah.
She's not even exaggerating. But I think, guys, in every, like, have you noticed, like, in a couple, there's usually, like, a louder a person and then, like, a more reserved person.
I don't know, does it look like I know a couple things here?
Do you not know your mom and dad? Black people are making a noise on social media, whether they're dancing, whether they're crying, whether they like, I don't know. But black people are genuinely making a noise, and I love to see that. I think we're very expressive. Sorry, my bestie, were you trying to say something? I think
no, I was agreeing. Sorry, I was saying yes.
Okay, I think we're very expressive.
I want to ask you guys, do you think all black people can dance?
I mean, what are you asking us?
The stereotype that black people can dance or black people have rhythm. What
are you asking us? We're best friends with you.
So what?
I think if we were the template of like people being able to dance, we would be an absolute failure to society.
Excuse me, Suzu can dance. Suzu can.
Excuse me, on her face. Just got hot. I think I can dance. Okay. I think I have a lot of rhythm.
Yeah.
I think I can learn dance moves very easily, like the ones that are like in fashion. But that's what I meant when I say I can dance. That's what
Can I ask you guys, is there a difference between having rhythm, right, and then like being able to do the actual dance move? Because I think we all have rhythm, right? All three of us. I think our rhythm is no, really. Like, I'm thinking of when we've been out and stuff, our rhythm is good. But doing like the dance moves and stuff, that's a bit, like following a...
Friendships are going to be compromised because...
challenge, I think, answers that question actually.
Sorry, I wasn't ready. Sorry, can you just look? I need to. Oh, okay. Let me give us more time. Sorry. Okay. I'm a mother and relaxing. I would never trip on a nigga if I had him. Bitch, that's my trash. You the maid, so you back. I'm a savage. One dry run.
Okay. 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm a savage.
Lassie. Perfect. Okay.
I got it.
Okay. Okay, get ready.
Go Tsholo!
Susan's got it. I crumble under pressure. I did not know. Anyway,
Come on, we have rhythm. It was just come on, guys, we have rhythm. Come on. All three of us.
let's agree to disagree. Guys, we're here now.
Please come dinners. Pouncing cats.
Oh God, no.
Come, just do a young pouncing cat. Just a ding, ding, ding.
You know, I don't like piano music that much. I only like 1 or 2 piano songs, guys. Come on.
Yeah. Okay. So to confirm or not confirm, I believe that not all black people can dance.
But my basis, I do want to say, I also think there's a context to it that I think it also has to do with like where you grew up and how you grew up, because I think sometimes rhythm and dance is something that you learn. So I see like my cousins who are like in the hood, they naturally, because they grew up, I think, with people who, like, the hood has a different vibe to it. It has a different way of being. It's very colorful.
For sure.
People are dancing. And like, okay, I'm not going to speak for you guys, but I went to... I went to an all-white Joby Dell nursery school until I was 6. And then who was I going to be dancing with and learning moves?
Yeah.
Like, you watch the culture and then like you kind of learn. So I think you can grow up knowing how to catch a beat and listening to a beat. But if it's something that you didn't like grow up with, how do you know?
For sure. Yeah. I don't know. I think, though, I want to say that there are certain people who are able to interpret a dance move more easily than other people, if you get what I'm saying. Even if you grew up in, I don't know, like I've seen, like, you know, white people who are able to like dance.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And they didn't grow up in the hood. So so some people just do have like.
Yeah, some people have a natural inclination to it.
There we go. This is Lebo Khan's signature move. Can I show y'all? I'm wearing a onesie though.
Show us what they see. Show us.
This is Lebo Khan's signature move.
Do you think the stereotype that black fathers are runaways?
My besties, I don't want to discuss this one.
So the statistic is that more than 40% of women in South Africa are raising children by themselves. So obviously that 40% is runaway fathers who have passed away.
Fathers who are in prison.
Fathers who are in prison. I don't know, just obviously
they also speak,
populated.
they also speak about like migrant fathers. So sometimes like the dad will go work in a different province or like in a different city, and the kids will stay home.
I wanted to bring that up. So this concept and narrative is obviously a very sensitive one. I think for the three of us, our experiences have been, we've had very present fathers, and we're obviously very grateful to be in that position. But a lot of the roles that we see in terms of Black fathers playing in their families in the South African context has a lot to do with our past. So, it goes back to what you were saying, my bestie, about, just the migrant labor system that we had in the past, right? Where you would have fathers having to move from rural areas and having to come and work in the urban areas, and there you just have that disconnect. You would have the disconnect of the family, the father not being present. Sometimes, a lot of the times, you would find that a lot of Black fathers didn't even have work here in the cities, right? And they were doing odd jobs, odd pieces of work here and there, just to try and send money home, right? And what you'd end up having is that, Black fathers would then sort of find another person here in the urban areas. They would also then, end up having children. Resources are now going to this particular family that's in the urban areas, and you're not having money and resources being sent back home, and another aspect that relates to what we're talking about now is just how the government spatially designed apartheid and geographical areas. So we're having this conversation with my mom, and there's a lot of research on this actually, that whenever Black fathers who were working in the urban areas would come back home, right, whether it was by a lot of, back then they'd be using trains. Right outside the train station, you have a tavern or any kind of place where Black fathers were allowed to drink, and so what that ended up contributing to is you have a Black father coming home from work, going to go and have a drink, have alcohol, whatever it is. And that has contributed. There's a lot of research on this. I actually urge people to go and research this, how it contributed to social ills that we have in township areas, right? So domestic abuse, for example, fathers not being present, alcoholic fathers, we're seeing that a domino effect even today in Black households, And so I think it is important to sort of just give it context and see how, where it goes back to.
I agree, my bestie. Sorry if you're done talking. I agree.
Yeah.
And I think maybe yes. But I do think that, as Bonola would say, it's not as black and white as that in this day and age,
Of course.
I think, for maybe our fathers and the fathers of our peers, that might have been the case, because we did grow up in the 90s when, things for Black people weren't so accessible. However, if I look at my friends with kids today, fine. Yeah, you guys could make the argument that, they had kids young, they had kids out of wedlock, but the amount of friends that I have with kids at 26 years old, with fathers who are in their lives, is like zero, literally, none of them.
Yeah.
None of them. And I don't think that it's, I don't want to use the word fair, but it's not fair to be using, our fathers never had the opportunities, our fathers, all of that. You have the opportunity in 2020 to be part of your child's life. And for the numbers, my bestie, to not have improved over the years is a cause for concern.
I was just saying, I'm in no way condoning a father being absent in the child's
100%,
life. That's not what I'm saying.
That is 100% clear. Yes.
Yeah. So, Tsholo and Luzo, you guys had a lot of points that I just want to add to, my bestie. I do think that having a child early and having a child out of wedlock, I really don't think that's an excuse for a father to not be present in their child's life.
100%.
Because I just think if you feel that you are ready enough to have sex and that you're ready to engage in sexual activity as well, there comes a knowledge that there are possibilities of things that can happen. And I just think for the mere fact that even if because some women can't afford to go and get an abortion if that's what they choose to do, and all those things might be. But I just think that there is a level of accountability that needs to be held for men who are engaging in activities that create kids, because we don't create these kids on our own. And just even if you're not earning enough, even if you're young, so is the mother of that child who now has to live with a lifelong decision or lifelong choice that was made. But I also do think, my base, and this goes back to what Luzo said, where just how South Africa, we're labeled we're a drunk nation, we're drinkers. And I do think that really is part of a trauma reaction, just because we have a lot of trauma as a country. And I think we've never, especially as Black communities, we don't have access, or we don't have knowledge, or we're very uncomfortable about things with mental health, seeking help, and having conversations. It's always a thing of it has to stay within the family. So I think just with that, I think that also contributes to the kind of abusive nature, and how especially with our Black men, how they just are not present, because I think they themselves never saw what a present father looks like, and they themselves have traumas themselves of what they've gone through in the past and the life that they've had to live. And I think that contributes to it's not okay, absolutely, it's not okay. But I do think there's a lot of trauma that Black men face, that they just don't have outlets to talk about it, to enable them to be present and to say, even though I didn't have my dad, I need to now be present and be a better man and be a better father to my wife, to my child, those kind of things, my besties.
Yeah, I agree with you completely.
Sure.
So it's
100%.
It's also that thing of not knowing how to be a father, right? And I think this again, and I hate this concept of a strong Black woman, because it irks me, right? But there's this notion that as a Black mother, you carry on, you get on with the show, you do what it is that you need to do for your kids, right? And that's just a chain reaction, and it's a generational thing as well. And so I think for a lot of fathers, and like you were saying, Tsholo, the young dads that you know of now, well, you don't know of, they're just
where are
they'll
you?
make a plan.
Yeah.
They'll make a plan. The other mothers will make a plan, and that's just the way that it is.
He didn't grow up with his father, and one would have thought that, you know what, you didn't grow up with your father. You saw how your mom, worked hard to fend for you and your siblings, and you're here because of your mother's tireless working to make sure you guys are fed, good schools, good clothes, entertainment, everything you needed. And my gosh, I don't want to be putting my baby mama or the next woman that I make a baby with through the same thing. So let me show up.
At some point, it becomes your responsibility to be a better person. At some point, it's no longer a thing of oh my word, I had so much trauma and I didn't have one, two, three. Of course, it doesn't minimize what you've had. But sure. I mean, at some point, you need to be accountable for how you bring your best self and how you try to resolve your own issues, so that you are a better human, just even for yourself, guys, honestly.
And again, this is also my final point. It's just to reiterate that as much as there may be extrinsic factors that lead to the way that you've been socialized and whether or not you'll be a good father, is no way a condemnation of being an absent dad, and at the end of the day, if you make a baby, you need to be responsible for the baby.
Hi guys, thank you for joining our discussion. So a week ago we asked you guys questions about what are some Black stereotypes and do you agree or don't agree with them. And we're going to spend some moments just talking about them and whether we agree or don't agree. and what our opinions of them are. So, the first one is, I want to know, why must I be mixed with something if I don't fit the ideal image of a black?
So, for me,
you
this
can
really
probably relate.
Pardon, my bestie.
You can probably relate, my bestie.
I think it really, for me, it just boils down to the issue of colorism. That's really what it is. It's colorism. What is perceived as the ideal and best sort of standard of beauty in the world that we live in. It's this idea that, just you and your blackness is just, it's not enough. It's not beautiful enough. Let's add a bit of milk here and there. Let's add some caramel here, and it's actually, it's pathetic. Right? We have a long way to go, but it's been amazing over the past few years just to see this surge in, embracing the beauty of black women. I think it's absolutely amazing, and it's. I think I find it quite condescending actually if someone asks you, are you mixed, or you look exotic.
Yeah.
What is that?
That word exotic. Yeah.
When I was living in that foreign land, it was very
Dubai.
Yeah, when I was working in Dubai, obviously I worked with like an array of nationalities, and a lot of them, and when I say a lot of them, I mean Filipinos and Indian people, majority. They weren't really like familiar with black people. They weren't, and Chinese. Let me say Chinese, Asian people don't see black people every day. They see black people on the internet. They see black people. If you say you're from Africa, you're supposed to look a certain way. So for me, I've never really seen myself as like light skin. Like for me, light skin is like Lebukhan, So for me, I was like black. I'm black. I'm whatever tone I am. So going there, and then they'd be like, "But you're not black." And I said, "What do you mean I'm not black?" They said, "Black is dark. You're not dark."
I'm not laughing.
So for me, and then I asked them, "Okay, so what is black for you?" And it was very interesting for them to actually show me what their idea of black was. And you guys will be surprised, it's not a black person necessarily. Black for them was a shade of skin color. So even if you're Indian, but dark-skinned Indian, you're black. So for me, it was very interesting to see how a different mindset works when they hear the word black. It's not a race for them. It's a skin.
It's a shade of brown. It's a shade of brown for them.
Exactly. It's a shade. Exactly that, my best. For me, it was very like I've always been very proud to be black, and black, whatever black shade I am, I've always been proud to be black. So for those Asian people to take away my blackness because I don't fit their idea of what black is meant to look like, made me very upset. And I think maybe, if you guys followed me over that time in my life, you guys would have seen actually my everyday altercations, but not really like serious altercations, more of like, trying to make them understand. Almost daily altercations with my fellow colleagues, just make them understand what black is. Don't take away my blackness, y'all. Just because now I'm in the UAE, now I'm not black anymore. Now I'm brown. No.
There's something needs to be said when you are white passing as a biracial person. So my basic, you are 100%, and it's not saying we're a black, but you are a 100% black. You are the product of two black parents. And Megan is the product of a black parent and a white parent. And in America, they have a thing of like, yes, even if you're 10% mixed. You have 10% blackness in your line.
For
They
sure.
say you're black, and that's fine.
For sure.
But I think when you are white passing, especially when you look like Megan and her features are also quite Eurocentric, I think that needs to be spoken. That it's just it's a bit easier in that context.
But
And
my
I can
team.
but that she's about to die. Sorry.
So
Yeah.
but then,
You wanna go?
so now, but somebody would make the argument that then when it suits you guys, Megan is black, but when now we're talking this, now she's not 100% black.
Yeah. So what I wanted to say is, it really boils down to what Tsholo was saying now about how you giving someone else the power, or you find yourself imposing what her blackness should be.
Correct. Yeah. So
my bestie, I don't think that's taking away her power. I do. So like that's what I'm saying. Her blackness is valid, right? But I think something needs to be said, and there needs to be a nuance to the fact that I think also, like, I don't get the power to dictate to Megan like how she does or doesn't identify as black. Is she black? Does she not identify as black? Because she does have a black parent, and that is part of her culture, that she grows up with that. But what I'm saying is that when you walk through the world and the first thing people see is not to identify you as a black, and you have an ambiguity, and I think there are privileges that you are then given that is typically associated with people who have lighter skin, or people who are very much more affiliated and are easily recognizable as like with whiteness, than it is like if you have a skin tone like mine. Like nobody's going to question if I'm black. Nobody's going to be like, I wonder. So it's not to take away from her blackness, but I think she walks. I didn't know Megan was black until she said so. I thought this whole time she was literally white, because she has Eurocentric features. She has a very, very light skin. And it's not to say that I think that she's not black, but I think there needs to be a space to be like, yes, you're black, but can you acknowledge that the world sees you, and the first thing they see of you is a whiteness, and there are privileges that come in with that kind, with walking through the world, and the world receiving you and seeing you a particular kind of way. That's what I'm saying. It's a societal thing where the world will treat her differently, and they perceive her differently. She has a different value, they question her blackness. Like, oh God, how can you even be black when you look like that? Wait, think of like, in order to be black, you need to have a particular kind of skin tone in order for it to be valid. And it doesn't mean that Lebogang doesn't identify as black, my piece. It's not taking away her blackness, but it's also a thing of like, this society perceives you differently. There's a certain value, let me say that. There we go. So there's a certain value that's attributed if you look and you have if you're closer to whiteness than somebody who's not. If that makes sense. So
no doubt.
So Buzo spoke about, I mean, it's quite lighthearted. So Buzo spoke in the video that you guys should watch, that black people's features, like all black people have like elaborate features. Is that true?
What features, my bestie?
Elaborate features, so big lips,
an apple bottom,
apple bottom, and a small waist, whatever.
Full.
Yeah, exactly.
I wish I had an apple bottom.
Exactly that. If then black people are, if that's a stereotype, then I'm not black.
Well, you know what? I can be black from the face upwards.
I have big lips.
Where?
Who has big lips?
Me.
Where? When you have to bring the camera closer and go.
My nose. Come on.
What about?
Stop it. Get out of here. Okay?
How dare you guys define my blackness for me?
Yes, you have a right to say that to us. You have a right to say that. You do not have what the media would call a black nose, which is like wide and, probably flat with no bridge. You do not. So, unfortunately, you are 20% black. You've got, you've got love, my bestie, love your loves. But unfortunately, you have no black nose. You have a very white nose. I think Buzo's body, is the closest to black between the three of us.
Definitely.
From the front, like looking that way.
Yeah. From the front.
Buzo, you've got booty.
Buzo's got booty.
Yeah, like
I just think it's just about the right jeans, my bestie. It's just about proper
even in leggings.
You've got booty, my bestie.
Thank you very much.
Take it and own it, okay? Don't bust your happy.
Yeah,
exactly.
Listen, so I'm like
I'm zero black at this point, so
yeah. You are actually Asian.
Exactly. Oh no, I think maybe I contoured my nose today, but in normal days, I think my nose is black. So
yes, my bestie. I agree.
So I'll give you 10% black.
Yeah. Thank you.
You 10% black. Fine.
Thank
Fair
you.
enough. Okay, my screen is black, so I'm just gonna say quickly, thank you for joining us.
Okay, I think we've lost Buzo.
No, we lost her.
We lost her. Her face is still there. So thank you for joining us on, what is this called again? Zooming in on the topic. And we will...
I was about to go be outside the box.
Yeah, be outside the box, zooming on the topic. And yeah, we hope you enjoyed this feature. And there'll be many, many more to come in the future. So from the Tsholo...
Our best friend at thebomb.com.
Okay.
Cheers.
I mean, it's not the 2000s, but okay. From the Tsholo...
The bomb diggity.
Girl. Like, you can't even say lid. You can't even say lid.
Honey, I'm gonna screw.
There we go. The kids nowadays, they say lid. I'm on 1%. Okay, thank you for joining us on Women on the Topic. Bye!